All right. Hi. My name is Gary. I've known Brett. So I have to take issue with something that Keith said. Brett is not the only one that bridged the gap between the generations in Delta Chi. I just have to make that clear. There are a few other people who here that did that as well. Now, Brett is the only one who did it through hard work and diligence. I'll tell you that. So I'm supposed to tell the story about the internet day. We'll just call it the internet day. And most of you probably know where I'm going with this, but I'll say a few words about Brett too, because he touched so many lives. And everything everybody else here has said has been so apt. I was not as close with Brett as Tommy and Doug and Coach, but he's been a part of my life for 25, almost going on 30 years. In that time where I was idle and he was working in Blacksburg, I would see him pedaling as hard as he could on a stationary bike in the chapter room of the fraternity house. And just every interaction I would have with him since then, the sense of optimism, the sense of adventure that he would exude. I've never known that in anybody else. It didn't matter what he was taking on, if it was jujitsu or judo or acai berries or I'm going to Europe. Hey, what are you gonna do there? I don't know. I'm going. He did it with such enthusiasm and optimism and just amazing. And you just wanted to bottle that enthusiasm up and be able to take a little bit of it with yourself, because he did it in everything. And he was the word, if I think about it, that most makes me think of Brett is undaunted. You aren't going to tell him, hey, that's not a great idea. Maybe don't give money to that Nigerian that's emailing you. It could work. It could work. And he would just embrace it, and he embraced life that way, and it was just so amazing. So in that vein, so Brett was at Tech, and I don't know if this was his first job, but he was a systems engineer for a company that was then called UUNet. And he worked in, I think it was called the NOC, the Network Operations Center. And so for those of you who don't know, UUNet was like the first internet backbone system company. And they had all the network infrastructure for the internet that in the late 90s, everyone was trying to figure out. And so he worked right in the Network Operations Center. So every company in the country that was on the internet relied on the people who were sitting at the desk in the Network Operations Center at UUNet. And one day, we're all sitting at our desks, and there's no internet. And we're like, what's going on? And I remember sitting at my desk, and the internet just shuts off, and I'm like, oh, that's odd. Maybe someone in a closet somewhere tripped over a line or whatever. And then I'm talking to my friends later that day, and they're like, yeah, my internet went out too. And I was like, yeah, mine did too. Everything shut down. I couldn't do anything. And I think it was literally in the living room of the townhouse. We're all sitting around the house, and Brett's just kind of off in the corner, sitting in his chair. And we're like, and I don't remember how it came out. He's like, I think he was telling somebody else. He was arguing with him. He's like, my boss told me to do it. My boss. I didn't think it was the right thing to do, but he told me to do it. And it turns out, Brett broke the internet. Everything. It was, and if it's not in this slideshow, it should be. It was literally the front page of the Washington Post the next day. So, internet broke. Businesses lose billions, Brett's just sitting there, he's like, he told me to do it. He's right over my shoulder, telling me, put in the code. And I'm like, I don't think I should put in the code. Put in the code. But he was undaunted. And he's just like, oh well, let's go to Clarendon Ballroom. And that's what we did, and we were drinking to the fact that Brett broke the internet for the rest of the night, and just having a great old time. But that's Brett. He was one of a kind, absolutely amazing. And so, so if you ever really want to think about Brett, look up the 1999 crash of the internet front page of the Washington Post, and there he is. So.